Hello everyone, Morris here. Today, bringing you another meta report for Axie Infinity Origins. Now it's the late Mystic era, and to be honest, not much to say really. Healing Pulse is still there, it's the most dominant archetype. Brutal Force, and Purge, I guess, is still hanging on, but yeah, definitely not as strong as Healing Pulse, I would say. And I think the only thing that I'll add, actually, like compared to last week, is that we do see some Sando with Shady Exchange and actually also Energy Shot, at the top 50, I would say, or maybe even get into top 30. So yeah, that's pretty much like the only thing that's changed. Otherwise, I feel like the next week will probably be the same thing with the final era. So let's just get into the statistic really. So just the player base, again, very similar story, not much to say, except that, okay, another 5k people came in and tried out Origin. Most of them, like maybe 3k of them, are only at the 0 to 200 victory stars, so haven't really progressed much. Let's try out the game and see what it's like. And then the other thing I should say is the Tiger. Number of Tiger people, players in Tiger actually decreased by maybe another 1,000, which just means people have gone up, but not many people actually come up to Tiger. So okay, let's just look at the archetype usage. I do note that like for the 2700 plus, there are only actually 3 games being played, and yeah, so obviously the top two, three categories, or as a categories, I mean like the brackets of V stars are only really like 20 players or something. All right, so yeah, that's why everyone is just playing Healing Pulse. But if you actually look at like top 50, if I just scroll back up here, right, roughly maybe top 50 or ish will be 24. Then right, 2400 to 2500. Then that's when you start to see, of course, there's Brutal Claw, but also Sando, right? So Sando kind of making it up there. The other thing I should note is get a glimpse of Poison as well. So there's one Poison team getting up to maybe like top 40 or something. Right. And the other thing I should note is there's actually quite a lot of so-called multiple archetypes, and this is where I should go back to the list, and you can see there are people experimenting on different combinations. Unfortunately, those are probably not as good as the so-called pure version, but still, it's good to just play different versions of things. So you have Healing Pulse and Brutal Claw together. You have Brutal Claw and Feather, which is also pretty good. Perch and Tiny Fan is also another good combination. And interestingly, I think maybe top 100, 200, in a way, I won't say it's relatively low on the ladder, but definitely not at the very top. Then you do see like Perch and Healing Pulse as well. So different combinations, which can be fun, right? Yeah. So, and then the other thing I should say is about Sando. Sando is, you can see, is actually the most popular archetype overall, at least at the above 1900 victory stars. And yeah, it's finally getting significantly used near the top as well. And of course, well, one reason is thanks to Mantis Dagger really discarding 2 cards, which definitely helps with, let's say, discarding the Cucumber Slice and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely helps with the win rate. Okay, so let's just get into the win rate, right? So of course, Healing Pulse, Brutal Claw, Perch, those are the 3 that if you really want to climb, then yeah, um, probably can't play anything else. For the rest, it's pretty even, not much to say, right? Is this, of course, once you get to a particular level, then yeah, win rate will just be roughly 50%. Of course, except for things like Leafy, just really not performing well at all. Okay, so let's just get into the matchup. And here I just want to show and make it a bit smaller just to show Healing Pulse, how it's doing in terms of win rate. And you can see it's all green pretty much across the board, except, okay, so there's Brutal Claw, which is actually pretty good against Healing Pulse. Of course, a lot of players are now here playing Healing Pulse. It's actually the second most popular, above 1900 victory stars. So of course there will be a lot of more not so optimal team, and that's where Brutal Claw teams can actually take advantage. Yeah, other than that, not much. Poison, interestingly, is also getting quite well against Healing Pulse, partly because it ignores the shield as well, because Healing Pulse you sometimes get ridiculous amount of shield together with the damage. So Poison doesn't really mind about the shield, might be able to compete. Okay, so other things I want to talk about in terms of matchup is definitely Brutal Claw, which to be honest, like is doing quite well. Maybe not the best against Sando, but yeah. Otherwise, like Purge, that is the one that you probably need to dodge. Sustain, you don't see as much anymore. And yeah, of course, there's other things like Ram Tiny Fan and Spikes. Those you don't really see too much, at least at the top. Of course, if you are lower down the bracket, then if you see a lot of spikes or something, then that might not be the best, meta for you or local meta. But in general, Brutal Claw is pretty strong. Perch is actually another good one as well. If you can just dodge Healing Pulse, then actually Perch is really quite good. Of course, Sustain you want to dodge as well, but Sustain you don't really see that much. And yeah, maybe I should really talk about Sando, because Sando is of course very even, partly because so many people playing it and at different levels. But you can see the win rates are pretty good, right? Healing Pulse, of course, is still going to be tough, and Purge is the other one that can be quite tough because Purge can be quite fast. But other than that, Sandos is actually pretty well, and I think Sando is one of the good ones for budget players, where I think the teams, the Axies themselves, are relatively available and it's like relatively cheap. Of course, if you want the most optimized version, it's always going to be expensive, and you might want to get like Shady Exchange and stuff. But if you just want to get to Challenger, I think Sando could be a good option, and it's pretty fast as well. Um, Okay, one thing that I should note and I forgot to mention is actually, in a way, it's like a fall of sustain, because sustain has always been there, and it's always find a way to cling on. But unfortunately, in this meta, partly probably because of healing pulse, where it just ignores the shield, or yeah, with the reverse heal and stuff. So sustain is finally, I guess, getting taken down, and maybe this is kind of what the game design team is or game balancing team wanted, is really just to, I won't say get rid of sustain, but have a counter to sustain. But of course, in this case, it's just overpowered. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it for this meta report. Do check out the blog post, of course, for extra content in terms of just additional information on, for example, I think quite useful if you are in a different V-star bracket is the matchups for the different V-star brackets. Okay, so I think I'll stop here for today, and I'll see you in the next video.